Welcome. You're listening to The Future of Things, a podcast powered by Blue Bite. I'm your host, Amanda Costco. Thanks so much for tuning in. As consumers become more aware of where their products come from, brands are increasingly looking for innovative ways to communicate their story and establish trust. This is especially true in CBD, an industry that's projected to surpass $20 billion in sales by 2024. This explosive growth isn't without its challenges. Today's episode is all about the future of product safety and transparency. You'll learn about how New York-based Tonic CBD leveraged Blue Bite to create a seed-to-sale tracking system for their cannabis products to directly engage their consumer in a noisy cannabis landscape. Here to walk us through it is Caitlin Ritters, Customer Success Manager at Blue Bite. Welcome, Caitlin.
Hey, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
So Caitlin, many of us have heard of farm to table when we're talking about food. Is this the same idea with seed to sale?
Yeah, so it's very similar. Farm to table is more of a social movement promoting serving food that is grown locally, whereas seed to sale, especially as we're talking about it in this context, is more about traceability and tracking the entire process. So that includes growing, manufacturing, testing, and distributing. Whereas with farm to table, a chef can often purchase directly from the farm. But since cannabis is now a regulated substance in some states, there are steps in between, such as testing, which is why tracking a batch of hemp as it moves from farms to labs and then into consumers' hands is so important.
Right. So as I understand it, we're going to hear from clients of Blue Bite today that have created a consumer experience for authenticity and traceability via NFC. Can you tell me more about who we're going to hear from?
Yeah, for sure. So today we're going to hear from Brittany Carbone from Tonic. Tonic is a female-founded CBD brand based in New York. They're a family-owned and operated organization with their own certified organic hemp farm in Berkshire, where they grow the product themselves. Tonic packaging includes an NFC tag that consumers scan with their phones to activate a digital experience powered by us, Blue Bite, that authenticates the products and provides access to additional information.
Well, I'm so excited to dive in. Let's welcome our guests. So Brittany, welcome. So great to be speaking with you.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to speak with you.
So let's start with the basics of Tonic. Tell me about the company, how it got started, and where you are now.
All right. Well, Tonic is a farm to bottle CBD wellness company. And we got started really when I was developing products for my own use to help me manage my anxiety and depression. And I started to combine CBD, which is a very new thing at the time, doesn't have all of the kind of recognition and just seeing it everywhere that you do now. And I started to combine CBD with more traditional adaptogens like ashwagandha. And what that did was really kind of create something that was much more integrative and much more effective in creating helping you to restore your essential balance, basically getting you back to home base, where everything is operating just right, anxiety levels to sleep, everything, pain, inflammation, kind of cover it all, because that's really what adaptogens and CBD, cannabis in general, is really designed to do, is not just necessarily perform one action, but be able to perform kind of a whole dance, if you will, within your body, and really kind of orchestrate this harmony of different systems physiologically to create balance and harmony throughout your entire body and mind. So that's kind of where we started, and where we went from there was really, a testament to the quality that we are and the high standards that we hold ourselves to. We started our own farm to really be able to dictate that quality and guarantee it from the very start. So as soon as, the seeds go into the ground, we are making very mindful decisions of how that product is crafted and how it's being made and how it's going to be able to deliver on those benefits that I just mentioned. So after starting our own farm in 2018, we actually continued to grow and have now completed our vertical integration, meaning that we are now fully seed to sale, controlling every step of the process. That includes now extracting and manufacturing the products as well. So that's Bardo Labs, our extraction facility, is really the last piece of the puzzle, and that opened up in March 2020. Great time to open a new business, as we all know. But so now we're seeing, kind of as COVID is calming down a little bit, we're definitely seeing Bardo's business and the products we're developing for other clients start to come to fruition a little bit more. And it's helping Tonic by being able to kind of have everything in-house, being able to, like I said, control that quality from the very start. And that's really what we're all about, not only delivering higher quality products, but being able to educate and really be transparent in all of our processes and help consumers understand why it matters to have intention at every stage of your process when it comes to cannabis products.
Yeah, and with cannabis, with CBD, like the packaging and the way it looks from the outside is really the only thing that you have, the brand essentially, to differentiate it from other products that are on the shelf. Oftentimes, these things are being purchased in dispensaries instead of directly from the growers. So how do you make sure that that customer gets that sustainability story, that transparency story, when sometimes you're not directly interfacing with them?
Well, Blue Bytes technology is definitely a great way that we do that by allowing people to have that interaction with the product when it's on the shelf. To be able to cue the customer to just simply tap their phone to the product to learn more about our processes is definitely huge, because definitely can't fit all of that on a product label, right? So being able to kind of extend our story past the label is still, during that in-store experience, isn't only valuable for our customers, but it's also valuable for the people working in that retail location. Because reality of it is, as much as we would love to think that selling Tonic was the employee's top priority, it's their top priority is just selling product, right? It's just making sales it's gonna move units in their store. And by being able to leverage that technology, leverage that information right there, they don't have to worry about maybe memorizing a script when it comes to each brand, right? Like they can have that kind of added value experience of not only showing the customer, hey, your lab reports, anything that you want is right here. You can learn more about the product, but kind of using that as like a cheat sheet, like, oh yeah, see, they have their own farm, they do all this, like this product is great for that. So it's really this like added experience that can deliver value on so many levels. Like I mentioned, certificates of analysis, the lab reports. That's a really big reason why we decided to utilize the Blue Byte like NFC technology to really be able to have a very clear pathway to validation when it comes to our third party testing, because that's such a big deal in the CBD industry. So just kind of being able to wrap that into a more immersive and kind of brand centered experience has been a really great way to kind of stand out on the shelves.
And as I understand it, there's the possibility of having each package linked to unique information, right? So that's all powered by Blue Byte as well, because it's not just about delivering a generic experience every time. You're giving individual information about that specific batch, correct?
Correct. So not only are we giving batch specific information, so like, you're getting the lab reports, not only that specific product, but that specific batch of the product. Also, it's like directions on how to use, information on the ingredients, which all changes from product to product. That's really kind of the beauty of Tonic, is in the nuance from product to product. These little changes that we make in the formulations are very mindfully crafted to be able to deliver different kind of experience and a different kinds of results, right? Whether you are looking more so for a calming experience or more so for like a mental clarity enhancing experience, or help with inflammation, our different formulations target those needs in very specific ways. To be able to communicate that to the customers is huge, and then also to be able to layer on that trust on top of it with the lab reports is huge.
Yeah, I really think that the transparency that gives, just having that connection from a consumer and a brand standpoint, elevates the relationship with the brand from the consumer's point of view. Because a lot of other products, like you said, they're just on the shelf. I don't have any talking points from them.
Yeah.
The sellers in the dispensaries don't necessarily have that education behind it. So allowing that and providing that for all of the consumers is highly, I think, wanted in that space too, because it's still kind of emerging and unknown and really beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something definitely I think is unique to the CBD and cannabis industry, is this kind of inherent mistrust or like lack of trust that people have in the brands. And it's because it's so new, because hemp, for the past few years has been highly unregulated. Brands have kind of had to take it upon ourselves to regulate and to kind of show like, hey, look, we are doing the right thing. Because unfortunately, with the high growth industries that are flying under the radar of federal regulation, you get a lot of people who are out for that money grab and who are out for kind of getting into it for the wrong reasons. And it's really on the brands at this point to combat that and kind of arm the consumers with as much knowledge as possible, arm your brand with as much information as possible. And that's really kind of what can help to build that trust and make sure that, this is an industry that is working towards greater trust and greater accountability, and that we're not kind of resting on the laurels of, oh, like there's no regulation, let's just do whatever we want, right? It's just like, how are we delivering ourselves to the consumers? And especially now, You think about Gen Z, even a lot of millennial consumers, but especially Gen Z, it's like the most educated demographic, the most educated consumer base. And not just because like they have all this information in front of them, but because they want that information. Like they really want to know who they're supporting. They want to know where their products come from. They want to know if it's sustainably made. All these things really contribute in a bigger way than ever to people's purchasing decisions.
Yeah, I think the piece about safety is really important and about transparency. It seems that CBD, because of this mistrust that you mentioned, has had to carve the way. And I hope that other industries follow, like food and fashion, for example, which could actually learn a lot from what the CBD industry is doing and having to prove themselves. In terms of traceability and tracking. So, as I understand it, you're unique in that you are not only a female founder in the CBD space, but you're a female grower, which I understand is quite rare in a male-dominated market. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's definitely, like you said, a unique point about Tonic. Something that's really amazing with CBD in the cannabis industry is that you're seeing a lot more female ran and female owned brands, but representation and the seats at the table are still kind of lacking are in the other parts of the supply chain, right? How the hemp is being grown, how the hemp is being extracted, how the products are being manufactured. When you think about it, you want diversity and representation in all those points, especially in growing and the actual making of the product, right? Because when you're thinking about it, what's the value of representation? What's the value of having, a diverse range of owners throughout a certain industry is to make sure that people are seen and heard with the products that are being made, right? That like the access is there, that that relation is there, that you're actually understanding the person who you're making products for. And I think it's like it makes me just want to like bash my head against the wall. How many cannabis brands, especially, but wellness brands in general, really, they're so marketed towards women, even as far as women's sexual health products. You know what I mean? Like specifically for women, not just a little like hints at feminine marketing. Products specifically made for women being made by men. And nothing against men, just common sense. You want to make sure that there are women in the room making decisions on products for women. And I think cannabis and CBD has such a huge potential to really help women's health issues that have been so long kind of overlooked or misunderstood, endometriosis, all these different things that really traditional medicine has failed. You know what I mean? It's really, really has. And cannabis holds such potential there. Like it can really start at the level of farming, at the kind of genetics that we're pushing forward, at the kind of products that we're developing in labs like Bardo Labs. This is really kind of where the rubber meets the road. And we want to be able to really make sure that not just women, but people of color and all kind of minorities are able to step up and have a seat at this table, because right now we're seeing an industry being built from scratch, right? And we do have an opportunity to build it differently than most industries that we're familiar with today. So really making sure that it's not just surface level representation, but it's like really from the foundation. Who is making these products? Who has a say? It's just such important questions to ask. There's been a really amazing movement around supporting women growers, women manufacturers, Black growers, really making sure that we're accounting for this in cannabis. Because like I said, we really do have an opportunity to do it differently. So I think we need to really look at ourselves as consumers and ask the question, how can I make sure that I am supporting cannabis industry being built in a more socially responsible, ethical, and diversified way?
And that goes back to the traceability as well, right? Like when people start to pull the thread in terms of where did this product come from, it does go back to the farm, but it also goes back to the people at the farm. And it goes back to the brand values that have been sewn in from the beginning, if you will. I have a little bit of a technical question, and thank you for sharing that. That's fascinating information. Technical question, how does the process of adding a connected technology to each individual product actually work?
We have basically a running spreadsheet of all of our different products and all of our different product batches. And what we do is separate out a batch of the NFC tags for the batch that we're creating, right? So we'll assign a certain, let's just call it tags 1 through 1000, right? Is for batch X. So that we assign those tags to that batch in the spreadsheet. We've just kind of upgraded the way that we do things through the Blue Byte platform, and we're able to kind of have real-time updates. So that way there's not as much of a lag. Being a small business, it was definitely kind of like a little bit of a road bump that we were facing because of the fact that everything was very small batches. So we would be updating the batches, but very regularly, and kind of having those new batches out the door, within days of making them, right? Once the lab results came back and they were ready to be uploaded onto Blue Byte, and that batch was complete and everything like that, we'd often be in the spot where like, well, these are going out the door, so we can't really wait a week for the platform to update. It's been really great to be able to now leverage more so real-time updates. Also our batches have started to get bigger and bigger, being able to kind of have a little bit more wiggle room there. But it's definitely been like a lot of credit given to not only the Blue Byte team, but definitely our production techs who are putting all of the tags in, updating the spreadsheets and tracking all of that. By now it's like second nature, and it's just another part of the process.
And worth it in the end, because it gives you that direct connection point to the consumer. Great. Caitlin, anything else you'd like to add?
So like Brittany was saying, it's definitely heavily owned on the production end, but it's also communication from the production team at Tonic, and then alerting us that, hey, there's new things that are on the spreadsheet, new batches that we need to update. So then we go ahead and use that kind of as like, I think it's called a PIM, like a production inventory management system. And we use that as a database, and that's what loads all the information that the consumer sees when they tap their product. So they're tapping that one tag that was on that spreadsheet listed as one of the products that are in a batch, and we kind of coordinate the mapping to all of the information on the Blue Byte end.
Fantastic. Well, how can people follow Tonic and stay in touch, Brittany? I know you have a website. Are you on social media as well?
Of course. Yeah, of course. We're on social media, mostly on Instagram is where you'll find us most active. It's at tonic_CBD. Lots of fun stuff there. And then you can check out our website, tonicvibes.com. And that will have all of the product information that you need. Shop all of our products. We ship to all 50 states. Sometimes that's a confusion with CBD. You can purchase it online. We can ship it to you. So definitely check it out. 15% off your first order. You'll get all the information online.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Brittany. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Wow, Caitlin, that was such an interesting conversation. What did you learn?
Yeah, I think it's so inspiring and so important that Brittany shared how it's women owned and women grown, and that it's really starting from the farm, which is most important, which is where everyone's product is starting. So to have that kind of like female compassion in the beginning of the brand, right where it starts, and then just follow through the whole brand process, product process, I think they're transparent about that, and then we can know as consumers.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think that, as she was saying, there's many brands that front femininity, or they use that as a selling proposition, but it's actually sewn into her brand right from the beginning. So that was very interesting. So that was our conversation with Brittany Carbone from Tonic. To learn more about Tonic, visit their website at tonicvibes.com. For more episodes of the Future of Things podcast, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever the best podcasts are found. The Future of Things is powered by Blue Byte. For more than a decade, Blue Byte has connected brands and consumers through products. To learn more about how Blue Byte can enable you to create a seed-to-sale tracking system, visit bluebyte.com. I'm your host, Amanda Costco. Thanks so much for tuning in.